We've been in this thing for 31 days and it's just time to get it right? We need to get it done. We need to get motivated. We need to be inspired. We need to take action. There are so many things at this point that we recognize we need to do and we haven't been doing, but you're still not at the place yet where you're living into that. And that's the vibe I'm getting from your comments, from some of your DMs, and some of your feedback just about completing Unit 1 and the workbook that we've been going through, and I understand it. Let me just pause for a second and say I completely get it. I get that it's difficult. I get that it's hard, but at the same time, I know the reward is so incredible. The feeling that you have when you can reflect on what you've done in 1 week and know that you've made so much progress, it's ridiculous. Today, this video is titled, "You Haven't Really Tried." And I know that's going to rub some of you the wrong way, but it's okay. It's okay to have your feelings hurt just a little bit. My feelings get hurt all the time. I hurt my feelings all the time. The point is, we're going to learn from it. The point is, there might be truth in it. And if there's truth in it, then we want to learn from it and we want to move forward, allowing that to inform where we go from here. So the first thing I want to talk about is consistency. And I want you to understand that consistency isn't a reflection of your stability. It's a reflection of your values. You've heard this before, the saying, people make time for what they want. It's true to some extent. If you value family, you'll make time for family and you'll be consistent with that. If you value saving, you'll be consistent about saving your coins after you go to the grocery store. If you hand them a 20 and they give you back some change, you better believe if you're serious about saving, that change is going into a money jar. However, if your value isn't, I value my money, then you're willing to leave that change in a little cup thing, or at the bottom of the tender when it comes back and you take the bills and leave the change. Girl, you won't care nothing about that change. And that's a link directly to your values. If you value it, you'll pay attention to it. If you value it, you'll actually try harder to do it right. And that's what we want to focus on. Maybe you're thinking to yourself, maybe it's about my weight loss. Maybe it's not about your weight loss. Maybe it's about you really moving out of your mama's house. So sometimes we think things are important, but in reality, our consistency, our dedication is showing up in another area in our life. So ask yourself right now, what am I putting most of my energy into? And is that something I value? And why am I consistent in certain areas? Like I can consistently save my money, but I can't consistently get up and go to the gym. And then own it. If going to the gym and losing weight isn't what's most important to you right now, it's saving, then own it. That's okay. We have different stages and phases that we can focus on different things in. And so it's okay for that to not be the phase that you're in right now. Just be aware of this so that you don't drain yourself of all the energy that you could be putting into that, thinking that it belongs in other places. If you're one of those people who struggles with giving every area of your life 100%, then you just need to pinpoint what percentage am I giving to each area, and then live into that. Because if you can be productive with that 15%, that 15% is going a long way, okay? If I can give 15% of my energy into my side hustle, then that side hustle will show growth. But until I'm willing to commit to like 100% energy, I have to accept the fact that it's going to be 15% growth. And that's okay. If that's pleasing to you at this point in life, if you can be at peace with that, then that's absolutely okay. But realizing where your energy is going is what's going to help you remain consistent or even start being consistent with where you are in life. So be honest with yourself. Stop focusing on your 5-year plan and ignoring the next 24 to 48 hours. I'm going to say that again. Stop focusing on your 5-year plan and ignoring the next 24 to 48 hours. Because you can only live moment to moment, day to day. And if you're focused on having the best body that you can have for your best friend's wedding, that's in 5 years, girl, are they even engaged yet first? But second, girl, what you should be worried about is saving your money for the next year and a half so you can have a down payment on that car. that's where your energy should be going. That's where your consistency needs to show up for you. So there's a definition for behavioral consistency, and we define it as it referring to people's tendency to behave in a manner that matches their past decisions or behaviors. And what that means is if you've been consistent at making poor choices, you'll continue to make those poor choices because you devote your consistency in the things that you have done, not necessarily the things that are working for you. Let me explain that a bit more. Research shows it's easier to make one decision and stay consistent in it or to it than it is to make a new decision every single time we are presented with a problem. What is ironic about the human brain is you can keep yourself in the same pattern and think that that's okay. Your brain will say, hey, you chose to eat cheeseburgers for lunch yesterday. You might as well just eat another cheeseburger. And that's what we're here to address. My job is to help you break that habit and learn how to pivot. You have to learn how to adjust, how to adapt. Because there's this part within the research that explains that not only will people go out of their way to behave consistently, but they will feel positive about being consistent with their decisions. And we feel good about that because then we're like, oh, well, when I start next week or next month, I'll give it 100%. So I'm just going to mess it up right now and then do it right later. No. Every time you're faced with a decision about how can I shift my behavior, you have to reflect on it and then choose the option that actually shifts your behavior. Don't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. What do we call that? We call it insanity. You're being insane. Literally being insane. And if you want to foster a new type of behavior consistency, then you have to break the mindset. That's exactly right. You have to break the pattern that your brain is operating on and just change and shift your cognitive patterns. You have to do it in order to change your behavior. Your behavior won't change if you can't shift those behavioral patterns. So when I say your system is broken and your feelings get hurt, but you wake up the next morning unbothered and doing the same thing over and over again, that's what this process is calling out. And that's what this retreat is really trying to break you out of. It's trying to break the thought pattern of I can be comfortable in my mess. I can live this mediocre life and get by. I can find moments of happiness and not have a life full of joy. Why? Why would you subject yourself to that? So when I say your system is broken and your feelings get hurt, but you wake up the next morning unbothered while you do the same thing over and over again, that's what this is talking about. It's talking about the fact that you're so comfortable in your behavior that even when you know it's not right, you still tend to do it. No more. It ends today. We wrote down our X's and we said what we will and will not do anymore. And inconsistency was one of them. And if it wasn't, add it to your list because you need to get over it. I've gotten over it over the past couple of weeks. Let me tell you, this retreat has completely shifted how I handle my business. And that right there is life-changing. It is life-changing to make that shift not only in your own behavior, but to help other people make that shift as well. And so that's what I want to reinforce. And I'm doing that by having you complete this independent work that you do with your journal and when you write in your workbook. That's all the independent responsibility that you're supposed to be taking care of. And then we also attack this from a social level where we have our accountability partners and we have our Facebook group that keeps us as accountable as it possibly can. I know some of y'all are like ghosts within the group. I see you. And at this point, if you're a part of the group, but you're not being a part of the group, then you have to ask yourself, why am I here? Why am I in this group? Why am I telling myself that I'm working towards these goals, that I'm willing to go through this process and I'm not giving it 100%? So what are you valuing? Where are you showing up and being consistent if it's not here? Where is it? And that's something you can do without continuing the rest of the group. Just identify what your values are, what you're consistently doing, and ask yourself, am I pleased with that? Is it effective? Is there productivity happening? Like, what is happening in my life, and am I okay with that? But I really want you to get this whole idea of consistency and understanding your behavior patterns, which is what I also wanted you to pick up on when you completed your Who Am I Showing Up As report. So when you had to write down your identity that you put on every morning and show up in the world, that was to help you kind of pinpoint what exactly you're placing your value in. And we'll dig deeper into that in Unit 2, but you got to make it through it. You got to make it through it. So if you've been doing Unit 1 and you haven't been doing the identity report, or you haven't been doing the 2020 activities report, you need to start. Now's the time, girl. We got one more day in October and then it's over. So what are you waiting for? You need to get started right now. You have to clock in. This is the time. Unit 2 will involve goal setting, but there's a trick. There's a trick you have to be ready for. And if you haven't done the self-awareness work, then the tools I'm going to give you and the reports you'll complete will have you feeling like defeated and think you failed. And the reality is you just didn't set yourself up to win, because you didn't do the work. You haven't set yourself up to win. And so you won't feel like a winner. You won't feel like you're making any progress because you haven't committed to the process. You won't feel like you're making progress because you haven't committed to the process. So now's the time. If you join this group to make a change in your behavior and get focused on your goals, and you haven't downloaded the workbook or done the 2020 activities, you're only hurting yourself. And I don't want you to hurt yourself. I'm not here to help you hurt yourself. Not at all. I'm here to help you care for yourself better. I'm here to help you be proactive and get the life you want, because that's what's important to you. And that's what's important to me, because it's so important to you. So I love your support. If you just in a group because you saw Sierra had a group, thank you, boo. But unjoin. What is it? Unfriend. Jump out. Jump in. Turn it around. Spin it out. I don't know. But don't waste your time. Don't waste your timeline, because clearly there are more important things to you than this activity and personal growth effort. Like, I don't want you to waste your time, and I don't want you to feel like you haven't gotten what you could have gotten out of this and blame anybody else, because you're the only person you should be looking at. You really have to look in the mirror when we talk about personal growth, because if you're not giving your all to it, it won't work for you. So don't quit on yourself. Don't give up on the process. Commit to the process. If you can't commit to anything else, commit to this, and you'll watch yourself committing to everything else, because you'll see a value in it, and you'll want to show up not only in those areas and for those people who are in those areas, but for yourself. And that's important. The second point I have, which is John Maxwell's law of intentionality. Now, y'all know, one of my favorite words is intentional. Not just because of that song, the gospel song. He's intentional. Never failing. I wasn't going to do that for real. So John Maxwell created the law of intentionality, and it really breaks down our assumption, I'll say, that growth just happens out of the blue. And growth doesn't just happen. It doesn't just happen. It's not like a tree. And even trees don't grow without anything happening to them. You need rain, you need sunshine, you need good soil. So nothing happens just out of the blue. Ooh, wow. Something's always working along with something else to make things happen. And in this case, you have to work. The program is set up for you to work, and in the process of you working, you'll see yourself growing. You'll see yourself transforming. If you're struggling to get on board with the process, you're probably falling victim to one or more of the 8 growth traps. And I'm going to point out a couple of the growth traps that I think some of you guys are falling victim to. So again, this is John Maxwell, and he has this whole book. I'll actually provide a link for it in the recap worksheet that you guys will get, and you can look at that book and understand, guys, how we function. But intentionality can be a very powerful tool once you've decided, okay, I'm going to be intentional about everything I do, and you break that down into, I'm going to be intentional about what I eat, I'm going to be intentional about what I wear, I'm going to be intentional about where I go, all of that. It changes things. It changes the game. It will change your life. The first gap is the assumption gap. And this one is so interesting because we all do it. At some point, you just assume things will work out. You're just like, thank you, magical genie that just came and transformed my life. It's not going to happen like that, boo. There's no magical genie. No one's coming to grant you a wish. God granted you life. That's as far as he's gonna go with that one. You have to do the work now. So if you're thinking, oh, I assumed I would automatically grow just by joining the group, you aren't setting yourself up to win, boo. You aren't doing yourself any favors. You just joined to join. You won't transform your career just because you got the job. Girl, you got to show up for the job. You got to do the job well. You got to tell people that you have a job. You have to network. You have to do so many things in order to build a career. It doesn't just happen because you get a job. So I really want you to get rid of that assumption gap. Like, just get rid of it. Get rid of it. Everything in life takes work. Everything in life takes effort. It doesn't just happen. The second gap I want to talk about is the knowledge gap. And this one we can all sympathize with, but my sympathy is really like dwindling as the years go by because there are so many resources. And when we talk about knowledge, we talk about street smarts, we talk about book smarts, we could talk about business, being business savvy, we could talk about all kinds of things, being a creative. Like, I pretty much have crossed all of those genres, and you can always find out the information you need to. So when you say, well, I don't know how, in 2019, that's no longer an excuse. Ask a question, do a Google search. You've gotten this far. I'm sure you know something. Think like a winner, or ask a winner. Point blank and the period. Either you're going to learn how to think like a winner, or you need to find a winner and ask them. Ask them questions. Ask them how they got to that point. Ask them how they got it done. I get DMs all the time with people asking me business questions because they know I've started my own businesses. They'll ask me questions about writing a book and self-publishing because I've done that too. People will ask me all kinds of questions, and I never hesitate to answer a question because closed mouths don't get fed. If you are a part of my email list, then you've heard me say that I don't know how many times, but it doesn't work like that. You don't just understand things because they dropped out of the sky. You have to work towards it. You have to think through it. And critical thinking is a powerful tool that you guys can use to not only propel yourself within your areas of growth, but also challenge the people around you, right? Challenge your relationships to grow. Challenge your friendships to grow. Challenge all relationships in your life to grow. It's a powerful tool. It's necessary. So if we just had to stop for a second and think to ourselves, how do people set themselves up to win? Right out the gate, we could say people read, people ask questions, which we've already said, people do Google search. You could do a Google search. If you want to eat healthier, what do? You do meal prep. You go to the grocery store and you buy the organic food, or you look at the ingredients on other produce and you figure out what's in it and how it was made and da-da-da-da. You do research, okay? We talk about market research. We will talk about market research in month 3 in December. If you want to get promoted at your job, you want to win that way, what do you need to do? Sometimes you got to get up and iron your clothes the night before. Instead of watching late night TV shows, you got to get up and prepare, okay? Maybe I need to rehearse my meeting notes. Maybe I need to rehearse my speech. If you are trying to lose weight, What do you need to do? We talked about this last time. You need to sleep in your workout clothes. If you have a lot of things to manage and you want to win and you want to get through your to-do list, what do you need to do? You need to write out your to-do list early in the morning or the night before. So when you get up, you're not scrambling trying to remember what you needed to do today and also get ready for the day, right? Sometimes it's just too much going on. And so if you can prepare yourself the night before or earlier in the morning, which is what we do by getting up 20 minutes earlier and just meditating and focusing on who we want to be when we show up today, then you're able to set yourself up before you actually have to start. You want to be able to set yourself up before you start something. I don't want to have to go to the grocery store and cook dinner. Once I get home, I can go to the grocery store earlier in the week. So if I get home late, I could just cook my meal. Easy peasy. Guess what that does? It stops me from going through the drive-thru. It stops me from making poor choices and ruining the new diet plan I'm on. So you have to think like a winner. And that knowledge gap, it's not helping you. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. The other gap I want to talk about, this is the third one. So I've talked about the assumption gap, which is I assumed it was going to work out for me. I talked about the knowledge gap. I didn't know. I just didn't know. Those are unacceptable. We're not doing those. If you don't know, ask a question. Don't assume that things are just going to work out. It takes effort. The third one I want to talk about is the mistake gap. And this one really plagues us because we forget everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has a starting point. If you're on the SierraMcKissick.com email list, then you already know that last week I sent you an email that talked about making mistakes and how we all make mistakes. The point is to learn from the mistakes and use the mistakes to help you get ahead the next time you have to make a decision. You can't be out here winging it and be scared. You can't create a presentation 20 minutes before and then expect it to go great, because it doesn't. If you're scared, you need to focus on preparation, because preparation will give you the confidence you need in order to execute whatever it is you're trying to do. So don't just say, oh, I don't want to make a mistake, I don't want to mess it up, and then sit in that. It doesn't do anything for you. You don't go anywhere when you do that. You have to prepare. You have to do whatever research, whatever questions you need to ask. You need to do that so that you can move forward. Don't be so focused on making mistakes that you don't act. Inaction is 10 times worse than acting and that not working out. And there are other people who've made mistakes. There are other people who've made mistakes. You can ask them what mistakes they've made and how they've learned from them. And then you can avoid making those mistakes. And some mistakes you are going to have to make yourself. It's okay. It's okay to mess up a tax form. It's okay. Like, you're going to make mistakes. Even if you don't, somebody you hire might. Somebody you employ might make a mistake. They might not file the paperwork in time. They might forget to pick up the different products that you wanted to test out. It happens. It's okay to make mistakes. But don't be out here winging it when life isn't set up like amateur night. Okay? You can't drop jokes off the dome and expect that to go all right. Sometimes you got to prepare. Most times you have to prepare. And if you're afraid of making mistakes, boo, you're one of those people who needs to prepare in advance. Ask some questions, get some help, find some resources so that you can set yourself up to win. The next gap is the perfection gap. And this one I fall victim to. Not right now, but I can in some areas in life. Because you have this idea of like, I don't want to release it. I don't want to tell anybody about it until it's perfect. And the truth is, it'll never be perfect. There'll always be a typo. The real problem with the perfection gap is that you tell yourself, what if this doesn't work? What if I don't have it right and everybody hates it? Well, people are going to hate it, period. Like, people are haters. Not born haters, but they've learned how to become haters. But what you need to focus on is the fact that there are plenty of options for you to choose from, but no one can make you start and use those options but you. There are plenty of options in the world, plenty of options that can help you get a task done, to help you just nail it. There are plenty of options, plenty of resources, but you have to start to find them. and you might not find them on the first try. Sometimes you have to adjust as you start a process. There are ways that you can change things midstream, right? And we talk about that. There's that quote, I think. Whatever, life is not always like that. Sometimes you can switch it up. Like we switch up a wig, sometimes you can switch up what you're doing, and it's perfectly fine once you switch, because you realize this isn't working, so I need to make a change. Like, don't be that person who just rides 50 miles in the wrong direction because you didn't think you could turn around. Like, turn around. Please turn around. Please turn around. Don't keep driving in the same direction when that's not where you need to go. The next gap is the inspiration gap. And this is the one that everybody's struggling with right now from what I see in the group messages. And it's the thought that I don't feel like doing it. It's just not, I'm having a bad day and I'm not really in the mood. Can I tell you that I was not in the mood to do this video? I was not in the mood to get on live at 2:30. So when nobody was on there, I was like, and I failed. But it's okay. What you have to realize is it's rare that our need matches our feelings. It's rare that those things are coinciding at the same time. Like, it's rare. I rarely wake up and I'm like, today's going to be a great day and I want to do everything I have to do. No, it doesn't happen. But what you need to ask yourself is, are you willing to wait that long? Are you willing to wait until your emotions match what you need to do? Are you willing to wait till you feel like going somewhere in order to go there? If the sale ends, you've missed it. You don't wait until your body goes into starvation mode to eat. You eat at that first little inclination that you're hungry. Same thing. Inspiration may not come. So what do you have to do? Make it come. Write down some inspirational quotes. Write down some thoughts that keep you focused. Take pictures, newspaper clippings. Newspaper. Who reads newspapers? Sorry. Take out magazine. Let me tell you, I saw something when I turned my head that way. Take out a magazine clipping and allow that to motivate you. You have to create inspiration. And what you don't realize is that you already create your inspiration. When you see something and you say, oh, that really inspired me, the way your brain processed it is what inspired you. And you chose to do that. So if you choose every morning to get up and say, oh, the sun is shining, that inspires me to go for a walk, then it will inspire you every time the sun is shining. If you wake up and you're like, oh, I got 30 emails, I can knock out those and then move on to the next thing, I'm ready to go. Then you'll be ready to go, and having more emails won't intimidate you or frustrate you because you've decided, I'm gonna knock them out and I'm gonna move on to the next thing that I really care about. So remember, inspiration is something that you create. It isn't something that comes to you. Don't get it mixed up. You create what you're inspired by, and that can happen through anything at all. The last thing I want to hit on is the expectation gap. And this gap is when you're kind of disillusioned about the process, which is what everybody's having happen to them right now. I'm sure we're almost 30 days in, and the feeling is, oh no, this isn't going to be roses and sunshine. Like, this isn't going to be a key, let's post gifs or gifs, whatever you say, and go about our day. Like, no, I'm in your face, okay? You're in my face. We're in each other's space. We're trying to grow as a team, collectively. And that's not easy. And it's probably not what you expected either. But it's a great process and you're going to benefit from it. So John Maxwell has this equation for luck, and he creates this equation based on preparation plus attitude plus opportunity plus action equals luck. That's not luck, girl. No. If I had to prepare, if I had to have the right attitude, I had to wait for the opportunity or create the opportunity and take action, that's not luck. That's all me. That's all initiative. So instead of thinking of this process as something that you're going to naturally fall into, because you won't. Think of it as a challenge that you're willing to do because you're excited about the outcome, right? Not that you're lucky, not that you're going to be lucky during this process, but that you're going to benefit from the process. And that in itself is the incentive to get involved, right? To be committed, to go for it, to be disciplined with writing in your journal and doing the worksheets or the workbook. That's your incentive. That's what changes you. That's what transforms you. And that should be where your expectation lies. Your expectation has to be based in something that you're actually going to get out of this process. And I never told you you'd end this process being lucky. I never told you that you'd join this process and it would be easy. I told you that you would find peace. I told you that you would get focused. I told you that you would know how to achieve your goals. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So there's no luck here, just commitment, preparation, attitude, a good attitude, and action. We're taking a lot of action, guys. And we're hoping that God provides the opportunity for us to experience that blessing that's on the other side of this. This process is guaranteed to work. It's guaranteed to change the way you've been thinking and behaving. You just got to do the work. I promise you, if you do the work and in 90 days you haven't changed, girl, call me. Come, I want to see it with my own two eyes. I want to see it because I just can't imagine it. I can't imagine you going through this process and nothing changing. So please stay committed to the process and do the work. Not for me, for you. And I'm going to send out the unit recap. That's going to help you guys kind of consolidate some of these thoughts and anxieties that you're having, and even the doubt that you're having about your ability to do these things, because this is ground zero. Like, we're just breaking the ground. So don't even let those thoughts of doubt and self-worth, like negative thoughts coming in. Get rid of them. Those are our exes. You saw how I was trying to that's what I want to do. Get rid of those thoughts. They're out of here. They don't apply. You're not that person. Not anymore. So stay committed. Stay dedicated. You can do it. We're going to crush this retreat. We're going to nail this new life down so that it doesn't go away in the wind. So this person that we're cooking up in this retreat is who you were meant to be all along. It's who you really are at your core. And I'm so excited for you to meet her or him. I can't wait. And I hope you can either. So this is the end of Unit 1. I can't wait to see you in Unit 2. Take care, guys.